If these leaked images are real, then Silo Season 3 Episode 3 is not just continuing the mystery around Juliette's memory, it is quietly confirming that the entire system around her is already panicking. Because once you stop looking at the leaks as random promo material and start reading them like clues, one thing becomes very clear. The people controlling Silo 18 know they are running out of time. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, this is not a normal trailer breakdown or a standard theory video. This is a leaked images angle, which means I want to focus on what the early material appears to be showing us before the episode even drops. And in my opinion, the biggest thing these images and details are pointing toward is escalation. Juliette is pushing back against the memory suppression. Helen is getting dangerously close to the truth in the past timeline. Billings looks more conflicted than ever, and Daniel Keene may be moving closer to the exact moral line that eventually leads to the creation of the Silo system itself. Let's start with Juliette, because if there is one story the leaks seem to center, it is hers. The official setup already told us she takes control of her recovery, but the leaked material makes that phrase feel much more threatening than hopeful. This does not look like a simple Juliette starts remembering arc. It looks like a Juliette starts resisting the system while the system starts closing every exit around her arc.
And that is a huge difference, because after episode 2, we already know the pills are not vitamins, the memories are not gone, and the note she received means someone inside the silo wants her awake. So if the leaked images show her moving with more purpose, maybe in the marketplace, maybe in private corners of the silo, maybe meeting someone she should not be meeting, then that tells me she is no longer passively confused. She is actively suspicious. And once Juliette becomes actively suspicious, peace inside the silo does not last long. Now here's the part that really interests me. The leaked info suggests she's taking more control of her recovery. But what if recovery is not the right word at all? What if what she's actually doing is dismantling the false version of herself they built around her? Because right now, Juliette is not just being medicated, she is being narrated. They made her mayor, made her a symbol, made her proof that returning from outside does not mean hope. So if leaked stills are showing her detached, watchful, or physically avoiding certain routines, I think that is the show confirming she is starting to notice the pattern. And when she notices it, the rest of the season becomes a countdown. Now let's move to Helen, because the synopsis says she suffers consequences. And honestly, I think that might be the most dangerous line attached to this episode. Because Helen is not just a reporter anymore. She is now one of the only people in the old world timeline pushing hard enough to connect the dirty bomb story, Charles's fractured memory, and the government's obvious need to keep something buried.
If the leaked material shows anyone watching Helen, following her, meeting with her, or isolating her, then I think we are past vague political suspicion and into active suppression. And in my opinion, they are not going to waste the memory medication on her. Charles was useful, a pilot, a survivor, a symbol. Helen is dangerous in a different way. She publishes, she asks, she pushes. So if the leaks are accurate and something bad happens to her, I think it is because she got too close to a truth the old system cannot allow to exist publicly. That matters because it tells us this timeline is not just backstory. It is the origin of the same control logic ruling Silo 18. Different century, same instinct. Silence the person who asks too much. Now let me rewind and talk about Daniel Keene, because if these leaks are hinting at more of him, then I think the show is getting ready to make him one of the most important figures in the entire mythology. The article theory about him potentially helping build the silos is already strong, but the leaked material angle makes it even more interesting because this episode seems positioned to show him under pressure. And pressure is where people in Silo reveal who they really are. If Daniel starts choosing career, access, and proximity to power over the moral instincts that make him sympathetic now, then we may be watching the birth of the mindset that later gets turned into the algorithm itself.
That is why the possibility that the algorithm is based on him or his logic is so creepy. Because then the system controlling Juliette is not just some cold machine. It is a human compromise made permanent. And if the leaked images are showing him in isolated, tense, or divided situations, I think that confirms episode 3 is the start of his break. Not a loud break, not some giant rebellion speech, a moral break. The kind where he starts lying to the people above him because the people he loves now matter more than the rules he is supposed to enforce. And those are the most dangerous cracks, because once Billings stops being reliable to the committee, the entire structure starts losing one of its last human-looking enforcers. Now let's bring this all back to the note, because I still think that is the center of the episode.
The source article already pointed toward Lucas, Patty, and Martha as the 3 strongest possibilities. And if we are doing this through a leaked images lens, I actually think the most important thing to watch is not just who Juliette meets, but what emotional tone those images carry. If she is with someone in shadow, secret, and urgency, that feels like Lucas. If the vibe is more movement, rebellion, and ideology, that feels like Patty's world. If the images are quieter, more intimate, more rooted in memory and trust, then Martha suddenly becomes the strongest answer. Personally, if I'm reading this as a full season move, I still think Lucas is the best bet because he ties directly into the larger hidden information side of the story. But if the show wants emotional punch in episode 3 itself, Martha might hit harder. Now, here is my locked prediction. I think the leaked material is telling us that episode 3 is where Silo stops pretending Juliette can be controlled with routine. The Note was phase 1. Suspicion was phase 2. Episode 3 is phase 3, where the people around her realize she may be remembering too fast, asking the wrong questions, and moving toward the kind of truth that could trigger the Great Reset. And if that is true, then everything else in the episode, Helen's danger, Daniel's corruption, Billings' friction, all of it becomes part of the same larger pattern. The system is tightening at both ends of the timeline. Now, before I finish, here is the fast-fire version of what I think the leaked material is really confirming. Juliette is no longer just confused, she is investigating. Helen is likely under real pressure now, not just narrative tension.
Daniel may be moving toward the exact choices that help create the silo system. Billings is drifting away from the committee emotionally and maybe operationally. The person behind the note is still one of the biggest keys to the season. And the idea of a full Great Reset is no longer just background threat. It is becoming the clock the entire season is running on. So, overall, if these leaked images and details are accurate, then Silo Season 3, Episode 3 is not a transition episode. It is the point where resistance starts becoming real in both timelines at once. And honestly, that is exactly the kind of escalation this season needed. But anyway, that is my leaked images style breakdown of Silo Season 3, Episode 3, and what I think the early material is really telling us. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments, who do you think is really behind Juliette's note? And do you think Episode 3 is where the Great Reset stops being a warning and starts becoming inevitable? I will catch you in the next one.